got a really fascinating place that we got permission to look into today. We're going to have a look inside of the old Cooper County Jail here in town, and you can see that plaque there. The first part of this jail was built originally in 1848. Entry here, and we're just going to venture on down these steps.
Central Satellites building. Again, coming to you from this amazing location, Wentworth Military Academy. We're actually on the roof of the Sanford Barracks.
It does not have 50 stars. Hello folks, we're Show Me Go Explore, and we actually have my fabulous little tour guide with me, Larry. He's going to be talking through most of this, and I'll be filming the inside. So Larry, take it away. Tell us a little bit kind of about the exterior, and then we'll go inside.
Well, as you approach the jail, you can see there's two types of brick. There's the large stones, which were quarried just about 2 blocks away along the Missouri River in the 1840s. It was built in 1848. And it was all done by slave labor. The commissioners in 1846 or 47 put out a request for what's the word? They asked for bids to build that part of the jail, and it was all built by a man with slave labor. And this other part of the jail, you can see that it's made of brick. And that was started in 1871, where they built the bottom 2 layers, and that's where the sheriff actually lived, and they had sheriff officers in there. The next 2 layers, or the next 2 rooms that are built upstairs, were built in 1872, and the back kitchen was built maybe the year later, and they also put in a 2-seater toilet back there, just to be real modern.
Real fancy.
Yeah. And so then this gave the sheriff actually a place to live and stay. And it was also convenient because the sheriff's wives could fix the meal for the prisoners, and the kids could run back and forth carrying the meals. You'll see right here that that's the original door into the jail. That was bricked up in 1871, 72, that time frame. There were also 2 windows that were bricked up. The bricks were supposed to be 2.5 by 2.5 by 3 feet. They don't seem to be that size. So I would say they quarried what they could and fit them in like a jigsaw puzzle.
All right, let's have a look inside, shall we? Thank you, kind sir.
Make a quick stop over here in our display room. First thing I'll show you is a picture of Will Rogers. He went to Kemper Military Academy here. It closed in the early 2000s. That's a picture of him smoking a cigarette. That's an official picture from Kemper Military Academy. So apparently cigarettes were okay for a young man to smoke at 13. Will Rogers was kicked out of the Kemper Military Academy. He was there a year. This display is a display of our most famous almost resident in the jail, Mr. Frank James, Jesse James' brother. When Jesse James was killed in 1882 by one of the Ford brothers, Frank tried to turn himself in and asked the governor, who was Governor Crittenden, for amnesty. The governor said, "I can't give you amnesty because you've not been convicted of any crime." So he kind of went on a tour of trying to go to the places that he was wanted. He went to Gallatin. He served a year down there and was he was not convicted of the murder charge, and he went to Alabama for a horse theft. He was not convicted there, and the Cooper County Sheriff picked him up as he was not convicted in Alabama. He was brought to town, and he was a real celebrity. The sheriff took him downtown to the nicest eating place in town, and Frank was shaking hands and glad handing everybody, and a bunch of businessmen, and this is the bond, got together a bond and paid his bond for him. And they even got him a horse, and he was supposed to stand trial here, but the judge was not available. So he said, well, I'll come back. And so they let him go since the bond was paid for. Well, the problem was, when he came back, that the man that was going to testify against him had been killed or had disappeared. Not real sure what happened to him, but he was acquitted of the charges here in Boonville. But that's and so he almost spent the night here. He probably did have a meal with the sheriff and his family.
Interesting, absolutely. Everyone knows about Jesse James usually, so the fact that, like I said, celebrity kind of status, that's interesting.
Well, the old expression, the dirty little coward that shot poor Mr. Howard, put poor Jesse in his grave.
There you go.
This is our crime and punishment wall. It details some of the men that were hung. John West was not hung here, but they brought a wagon around for him, and they put him in a wagon on top of his coffin, and they drove him downtown, and they hung him before a big crowd. But there are 5 other men that were hung back here, and then there was one man that was hung in our hanging barn. His name was Lawrence Maybury, and the newspaper said Maybury smiles through. And he was a young man, 19 years old. He spent 2 years in jail in the jail that we're getting ready to go into. This is interesting. This is a Charlatan Spinner. And he was hung outside on scaffolding in 1901. He was an African-American man. And this is actual a ticket for admission, so you could go in and see him hang. And this is a picture down there of the crowd at his hanging, and I'm sure it was much bigger than that.
And that's the scaffolding that was
scaffolding
there at the time. Yeah, not there today.
Not there today.
Yeah.
Let's go in the jail.
Alrighty.
The jail's doors are about 300 pounds each.
Ooh.
This first room we'll go into was used for many years as a slave holding area. Slaves were brought up from the Missouri River, which is just 4 or 5 blocks down here. They were brought up and they were stored in here until they were auctioned off. It always seemed strange to me that the county commissioners and the sheriff would be involved with holding slaves for the slave auction. But there were no walls here. There were just these brick walls, and they were tied to the walls with chains and shackles. And so until 1871, there were no walls in here. If anybody stayed the night in the jail, they were held in the jail with the chains and shackles.
And that's what those holes are over there on the walls where
Correct.
They were been pinned into the sides.
And as we go through the jail, there's lights in the jail now, but none of the cells have lights. None of the cells have heating, and of course none of the cells have air conditioning. This area was used till 1979. And if you got arrested downtown Boonville or picked up off the highway for drunken driving, you spent the night in this jail.
Oof.
Yeah.
And this would have been, as we said, like a little shower area before.
Shower area, that was put in much later. There's a lot of graffiti on the wall. Many of it is PG-13 or even R-rated. But it's been left on there because a lot of it dates the times.
Yeah.
And so that gives us an idea of when certain things happened in here.
It's a good way to document, I guess, without document.
Right. This is the sheriff's desk that he used up until the 1870s. And this is a jail record that was uncovered. And it'll be hard to see, but the top one is for a J.L. Jones who was in here for murder. And his bond was $23. And Lizzie Thompson here was in for lascivious behavior, and her bond was $16.50. Well, I thought that this was a bond to be released to come back for trial, but I was informed by our historian here that was actually room and board, and it amounted to about 50 cents a day.
That's pretty fascinating.
Yeah, paying your own way to stay in stay in this place.
And I also like too how they had to kind of cut out for the door here and the and the desk.
Yeah.
make room. But yeah. I still want to know what licentious behavior was for a woman. Yeah.
Women couldn't vote in those days, so basically men told them what lascivious behavior was.
Right.
And they're like someone has said, they might be showing their ankle, smoking a cigarette, maybe they were living with somebody that and they weren't married with them. All that was whatever the men decided at that particular time.
Absolutely.
Here's an example of some of our good jails, or jails. As you can see, the doors have been cut off.
Yeah.
Here and here, and they actually cut those off when they built a new jail in '79 and '80, and those bars, those doors are still being used in our current jail. Again, they weigh over 300 pounds, and should they ever go to a new jail, the Friends have put in the claim for the old jail doors.
You can see that's where one of the old windows was right there too.
Exactly right.
Outside.
There's some lights in these cells now, but up until the 1950s there was none. It would have been whatever light would come in through the window there or through the door here. There's a couple of windows down here in our storage area, but there was very little light. You think of a prisoner reading a book, it would have been extremely hard to read a book in one of these cells. And I'm sure that they were given candles or something like that, but it would have been very dark in here. That's an old shower, and that wasn't put in until the 1950s.
Well, and I wonder in the 1800s too, how many of the prisoners could read? Like that. They made.
Good point. Excellent point.
But yeah. Oh, the fancy amenities added later on. A night in here would change my mind. That much. I'm just going to have a walk around real quick and just use my little flashlight to try to better light up. But yeah, you can see the little table there.
That would have been one of the chain rings.
Or they would have shackled them to that. And latched them on.
And here's some old locks that were used originally.
Oh, from the big doors that they cut off. Wow. Look, someone's keeping record.
Yeah.
4 days. Or at least it feels like 4 days. How could you tell, really, without the light like that? Like,
Well, count the meals, I guess.
right.
Count the meals.
Right. Something. That's really, just gonna guess that's maybe where some of the plumbing was.
Yeah, I really think that these were built because there's really no way to get into the walls to run plumbing or electricity. And so I imagine they built these enclosures so they could put the plumbing in those.
And here's where the bunk bed, I guess you could say.
Very luxurious.
Yeah.
Very luxurious.
Looks very soft and plush. Not.
But these are some of the newer or nicer cells. I would say that they use these probably 90% of the time unless they had an overflow.
Right.
These are actually some of the stones that were sticking out that they used to shackle prisoners to.
Interesting.
I don't know why it's different from the area they had the African Americans, but these are stones that were used out that they shackled.
Maybe like while in transition to another cell or something.
Could be, but but until the 1870s there were no cells.
Yeah.
And you can still see holes in the wall over there too where people were shackled.
Oh, in the back, yeah. We'll get that in real quick. Yep. Those holes right there. They just kind of drilled them in the wall wherever they could fit them, it sounds like, really.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. Hey, we got a free spot, just stick that nail on through.
As we said outside, the brick was put up in 1848. However, the metal was put in 1871. And the rest of the jail, and this jail, is all metal. And then, of course, they didn't have to use the shackling; they could just shut the door.
Yeah.
And this is very secure, very secure.
I can imagine. And there's just real quick, I won't just go back, but just to see how far down, it's just two more little cells. Now just used for storage, but
Storage, correct.
But yeah, you can just see, like I said, we're in just a small little room right here. Not a whole lot. Alrighty, let's go. You want to go upstairs, I guess, next?
That would be great.
Alright.
We can do that.
real quick, I want to mention, we're thinking that these are original steps indeed when they were put in.
Yes.
As we can see the kind of natural bow and wear of it, of the wood. Whew, it's deep. All right, and now real quick, I'm gonna get this door. Ooh. Just want to capture what I can, try to keep my light out of your eyes so you're not. It is a bright one.
The gentleman that we talked about, the last man to hang in Missouri, Lawrence Maybury, that had the newspaper clipping downstairs, actually spent 2 years in this cell. He went in here when he was 17, and he was let out, or he was hung when he was 19 years old. And so,
I'm just going to have a look in here. 2 years.
2 years.
2 years kept in this little dark room.
With no
Nothing.
lights in it.
No lights, yeah.
And what's coming in through the windows.
Yeah, and that would have been, I'm just going to give you a camera angle. That would have been about the only light of day you'd have seen.
Exactly.
Right in here. And as you can tell, I'm not even trying to raise my voice. It's very echoey, so you could hear the breeze blow probably. Just 2 years. Only came out to use a toilet, I bet, if that.
That's because he was brought his food, probably shoved it under the door there.
Oh, okay. I can see how that's, yeah, kind of cut out.
Yeah.
Oh.
And this had 2 locks on it, and you'll see this lock all over. This would have been a lock, which, and it's disabled now, obviously, but this would have locked it, then it would have another one, a bar, that would have came over and locked over here.
Yeah.
And all the cells up there have double locks on them. So it was a very secure place.
You could say that in the least.
Yeah, when people got in here.
I love, like I said, I'll say it again, I love the rivet work around here.
And
The paint.
Like I mentioned, all the rivets, as they were done in the 1870s, they were all done by hand.
Yeah.
And you know, I've had some engineers and people like that come there, and they start talking about how heavy stuff is, and having to bring it all the way up from the Missouri River. It's only 4 blocks, but still it's
yeah.
an incredible load to get up here.
Right.
And then do 2 levels of this heavy metal.
Heavy metal.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, yeah. That'd wear you out just a day doing that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm ready to go home, I'm tired. What'd you do, put a door on?
Yeah. Shut it.
Right, yeah, shut a door. Oh, good
This
gracious.
is our only 4-man cell, and it's one of the bigger cells, and it's still minuscule. I mean, it's not a whole lot bigger than a walk-in closet.
Go check it out.
4 men live in there.
4 at a time. I don't know what'd be worse, being stuck in your own or having to share it with, you know what I mean? In this small of a space with 3 other people.
Exactly.
Like, you get over there, I bet the fight started, like who knows?
Well, you really hardly get 4 men there unless they're laying on the bed, there's not even hardly room to fight.
Right, that's what I'm getting at is, like, I don't know, I'll take the isolation, thank you, you know? At least I only have to worry about myself. Yeah, you're right, this isn't, I mean, that's just incredible how that, like I said, this is just built like this, and it's still here, you know. We're definitely looking over, what, 150 years maybe, something like that?
These cells up here were actually used for almost 110 years. And I didn't mention earlier, but the jailhouse and the Thespian Hall and another property called Hayne House was purchased by Mr. Crosby Kemper of Kemper Arena, a Kansas City banker. And he donated them to the Friends of Historic Boonville, and so we've been, ever since then, we've been the caretakers of it. And we've kind of left it the way it is, although we have made a few improvements to make it a little easier to be seen.
Adding light, I'm sure, you know.
Yeah. Well, I think they had the light in when they closed the jail out here, but, you know, that wasn't probably until the 50s or 60s.
Still, yeah. That
But the cells were dark still, even when people ran them in the 70s. The only other thing on this side is a toilet. There's 1 toilet for the entire upstairs, and it's really nice.
I love how it's just so fancy.
The light wasn't in here either. If you
Right,
get the
yeah.
light, you can can tell that's a new fixture.
Yeah, yeah.
But there are a couple of windows, so you'd have some window light coming over here.
I wonder how often someone had to go to the bathroom, you know, really just wanting to get some sunlight for their day, you know what I mean?
You know, they'd have to.
Right.
They would have
You
to.
just went 15 minutes, I know, but my serotonin levels are low and
Well, and you know, I don't think that they were that concerned about the prisoners' welfare.
Right.
And, you know, if somebody needed to go to the restroom, I don't think anybody ran up to get them out, you know, I think they probably just, until it was convenient for them, they just stayed there.
Wait till I'm done reading my chapter or
Yeah.
watching my soap opera. Come let
the
you
sheriff
out.
doing paperwork, I'm sure he said, well, let me finish this and I'll go up there.
Yeah. I said later, I didn't say when,
Right.
you know. Good gracious. Which would explain some of the drains on the floor, you know, for that reason. Oh, good gracious. Just trying to imagine that real quick. I just want to get this door too, because that's just, I mean, shut, closed, you're in here, that's it.
Well, and you know, if you think about the people in this room, the 4 people in there were double locked, and then this door was locked.
Right.
And then the door over there was locked.
Yeah.
I mean, it would have really taken some chore for somebody to get out of here.
And it would have been loud too, like they're, you know, they would have heard you trying, that's for darn sure.
Sure.
Get a shot from the top. Okay.
Down here is a row of tiny cells, really. They're 2-man cells, but they're only about half as big as any of the other cells we've looked at. And again, it's double locked with a lock on the door there.
Okay, yeah, the mechanism.
They've got this mechanism that would throw to lock all the doors, and then each door has an individual lock on it. We really don't have records on what happened in any of these door rooms, or if they were ever full completely.
Right. And they're small, like I'm standing in the doorway right now, just.
Yeah. The ceiling's high, but the walls are close.
Yeah. I mean, look at that. That's where the bed is, and then that's the wall. I mean, yeah, there's, again.
And again, these were used up until the mid-1970s.
Oh, the 70s. Whew. Got some more names on the wall.
And all 4 of these cells are identical.
I'm just going to go into each now. That's one thing we do. We just try to be thorough and not leave any part out. Oh, wow. I mean, you can hear your thoughts in these rooms, I'll tell you that much. You know what I mean? Just with this metal like this and how much it retains the sound.
But just think about how your legs get all cramped.
Right. I don't even like, I used to check at a grocery store and I didn't even like standing on that floor all day, just, you know, doing that. So I can imagine, like, this is where you are 24/7, with the exception of that fancy bathroom around the corner.
Just think if you were in that room and it was 95 degrees outside.
Oof.
And it had 95 degrees for 10 days like it happens in Missouri.
Right.
This room does not cool down. There's no breeze back here.
And you're the upper level too, so it's going to be even hotter. Oh my goodness. Now today it's kind of tolerable because we've had rain and some storms, and so it's got that cool breeze thing going on for us. But yeah.
Well, you know, actually, when it gets cool, it'll retain the coolness for a few days.
Okay.
And but then once it gets hot, it's hot. It's hot all summer.
Right. We get those dog day summers too here in Missouri, so absolutely sweltering. Oof. I wonder how many naked prisoners were in here then. Do you know? Like, was there a rule for you gotta leave your clothes on? It's too hot. Got nothing to wipe the sweat off my skin with. Oh wow. And yeah, this is just the back part where the toilet's on the other side. So we're thinking that might have been where some of the plumbing was or something. There's one of the few little windows, if you can call it that. Right there. I mean, this, like I said, this is just a fascinating piece of history. Like, it's the fact that it's still here, it's still preserved, obviously not being used, but for its purpose. But yeah, it's.
In the 1970s, before they built the new barn, the people of Cooper County felt like that the people had done the crime, they needed to be punished for their crime. And that's why a new jail wasn't built for so long. Plus the fact it cost a lot of money.
Right, yeah.
But, you know, even now folks will come through and they'll say, well, you know, if they stole somebody's horse, maybe they deserve to spend the night in jail,
Right.
I guess. But, I mean, let's be honest, it kind of passed the point of civility a long time ago.
They made their point, I think, yeah, really.
But again, a lot of people come through and say, boy, if I could just have my son spend one night and
I
never
bet,
get
right.
called again.
Rent it out for, you know, here's 20, can you just, you know, for an evening? My child is just too, no. Rent it out for all the husbands that need a night away from their wife. I'm good, I just need a night, go camping in the jail. Oh goodness, wow. Like I said, just fascinating.
Well, and you know what's kind of unique about this building? A lot of historic buildings, you can do stuff with it. There's really nothing to do with this.
Right. I mean, it is what it is, you know, yeah, you're right.
You can't hold a convention in here or meetings or anything like that. The JCs did use it for a few years as a haunted house.
There you go.
But, you know, that's reaching.
Right. That'd have been a good setting for that kind of thing, though.
Yeah.
That'd have been yeah. Oh, goodness. Yeah, you're right. I mean, but you almost wouldn't want to repurpose it because then we can't, you know, and I mean, they would have to redo it, repaint it. And I love this, like I said, just the originality of all what's left in here. I mean, just think about it, folks. That's, whew.
Well, it's horrifying to me. It really is. I mean, you know, I can't imagine being a 17-year-old man just spending 2 years in a cell.
Oh, gosh, especially that little one like
That
it
little-
was.
that little
Yeah,
one, you know.
like that really does look like the darkest one in here, too. So.
And, well, yeah. And you know, now you think of going to prison, they got a TV, you know, they got lights, you've got books you can read, and they got Wi-Fi
They
and
have actual
stuff.
mattresses.
Mattresses. Yeah, and
Yeah.
in fact, but there's nothing in there.
Yeah, I mean, nothing, just your own thoughts and worry. And maybe a meal slid under your door once a day.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
yeah.
because we don't know whether you get three squares.
Right, yeah. Yeah, they don't have record that there was for sure 3 meals served even in here every day, so.
No, but you know, I'm at the age, I was born in 51, but I'm thinking 31 years, you know, I've always thought that wasn't that far back in the future. And to have jails like this in the 30s, 40s,
Yeah.
50s, 60s, 70s,
Oh, yeah.
it's mind-boggling to me.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And like I said, they stopped using this as a jail in 78, isn't that right?
Right.
Yeah, so up until 1978. I know some of our viewers were, yeah, either alive then, born around then, so absolutely. We've got, that's just fascinating. Well, thank you so much for
You bet.
showing us this part and giving us all this fascinating historical information and this tour. And everyone else watching our videos, you know we're Show Me Go Explore. We're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, all the social medias. And we'll be back again to show you more historical, fascinating content. And until next time, thanks for watching.